Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ez with Let's Look It Up, back with another video. I just kind of filled Mike in on Mark Hamill shows up again on day 2 and he just takes over the stage.
Yeah.
And it was one of the coolest things. It's probably my second favorite part of Star Wars Celebration thus far. My first one was Mark Hamill day 1 at 6 o'clock in the morning with Mike. So I was like, dude, he just came up on the stage and he just took over. And you know, the host of the Star Wars show, they had no idea what to do. They're kind of like, Mark Hamill, what is he doing? He's just up there with his mic, you know. So what was your first impression of that? Just
Well,
what do you think? I mean, he just walks in and he takes over the show.
flabbergasted. And who's gonna stop him?
No, nobody.
Nobody. And
Nobody.
it was so great. You could tell just by the way it was being filmed that it was unplanned.
Yeah.
And just impromptu. Just like,
You noticed that right away.
Yeah. I mean, they're filming him kind of from the back of his head sometimes and the side.
Right.
There's no forward shot out in the crowd. None of that. No one was prepared for it. Even the mics were cutting in and out sometimes of the hosts.
Right.
It was just
Right.
it was so unplanned and he's so off the cuff and it's great.
It is absolutely great. So just to kind of fill you in on what he talked about, he actually starts off what you see online, the clip that I pulled up for Mike. That's why you have to watch his stuff live because and that's why that's why it's, I don't know, 4:20 in the morning or something like that. You have to watch his stuff live because he was standing at the front of the stage and he had this zip up hoodie on and he was just standing there. His
Over
back
to the side, right?
over to the side. Star Wars show's going on. And there's a crowd out there, and it's just this guy standing there. And then he just slowly turns around to face the crowd and slowly undoes his hood and just stares into the crowd. And it's like, so, you know, and I thought it was like hilarious. I'm like, what's going on? And then I could tell that they hurried up and they kind of jumped to what's happening. And he's got a mic, and he turns around and he just starts talking to the crowd. And he eventually, and you heard this, he gets to the point where he's talking about being on a talk show, and what would he do if he had a chance to get on to go into a talk show during that whole the Force Awakens time, because he saw Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and these other guys, Harrison Ford, going out on talk shows. So he talks about Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. He wanted to go on Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, he wanted to go on
do
Stephen
this.
Colbert.
Apparently, Stephen Colbert is a huge Star Wars fan.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess he didn't get a whole lot of promo. I think he did some interviews and stuff with Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, I think.
Right.
But he didn't get the promotion that Daisy Ridley and John Boyega did.
Yeah.
So he basically, that was his shot.
Right.
In front of that crowd.
It was his shot.
And he did it.
And you know, he's like coming up to the Star Wars show just to sort of check in. I don't think it wasn't a planned interview or anything. And instead of talking to the host, he just turns around and he talks to the crowd because that's who he wants to talk to. Again, it goes back to our first video. Mark Hamill is all about the Star Wars family. And he's all about just talking to you like he's in his living room. And so all of that was to build up to this big, long joke that if he ever did get on a talk show, he would love to just try that and turn around. And as he's staring to the crowd, once he does all of that and he's staring at the crowd, then he would just turn around, not say a word, and walk off.
Yeah.
Get in his car, go back to the hotel, he says. And then he goes, some people the reaction would be, they would take it humorously, and some people would just be like, what the heck just happened? That's so annoying, you know. But I just thought that's great. He can do whatever he wants.
I can't imagine him not talking.
I know.
At any moment.
I know. I
Especially
can't either.
if he has a microphone.
That's actually what's so ironic about Episode 7 is that knowing Mark Hamill and just, you know, his roles and him as the Joker and Luke Skywalker, he didn't say a word.
Not a word.
Not a word.
I mean, he goes up there for 20 minutes with no script and just
yeah.
flawless.
And honestly, you have to, and I love this, and I'm not knocking him for this, but I love, he is from an older generation, and he starts off telling a story. You have to sit and listen.
Yeah.
And you're not really sure where he's going to go, right? You know, with this when he starts, and he's getting to a joke. The joke ends up being like it's a story he has to tell, and it's like 6 minutes long, and you have to wait that whole time to get to the very end to where he's going to go. And that I just love that about his generation and stuff. So, anyways, part 2 of that, just him of his talk to the crowd there was going over that scene. It was a deleted scene from episode 4, A New Hope, and it's his first scene that they shot. I guess, it is his first scene that he shot of him going to Tashi Station. And so you saw it, right? What would you, or you heard him talk about
We
it?
made a great joke, and he did a little voice impression of people making fun of him for, oh, I'm going to Toshi Station, hydration. He poked fun at himself, and he understands that he's kind of the butt of the joke.
Right.
But it blew my mind because I didn't know that existed. It could be on the Blu-ray edition that I have at home, and I've just never even watched it, which really makes me sad now.
Yeah.
But he said that Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford, all of their first scenes from the movie as we know it are their first scenes, and the scene that we see in him is actually his third scene that he filmed.
Yeah, you're right.
So we actually went out onto YouTube and found them.
Yeah, we did, and we'll probably be playing that deleted scene up here in the corner for you. But it was just he's with Biggs during the scene. He's with Biggs. There's another female in the galaxy. So if you don't know this, you need to go check this out. Look at the deleted scenes because. You know, and he's there talking with him about. I love what his whole point in talking about this in the story was that Luke is uninfluenced by the politics going on in the galaxy, and also that scene dives into and it gives you more of the politics and what's happening in the galaxy. It explains a lot. So I was like, wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Some people say that's what's lacking a little bit in The Force Awakens.
It is. It is. You know? It actually is a little bit. It just added another dynamic to Star Wars as we know it because you don't get a whole lot of the politics, like you said, that we get into a little bit in the prequels and stuff like that. It was a really cool element. The other great aspect of them was it was really enjoyable is that their unedited raw film of them on set. So there's no blaster lasers. There's just little pops of almost like whatever those little pop guns are, and little explosions.
Yes,
and people, you know, you're hearing their actual voice picked up off the camera and not so much the boom mic hanging over them. So it's really great because you hear, I don't know, it's just raw. It's really great to watch.
It was so cool, and I'm really glad that he brought it up and talked about it. And to get back just a little bit to what his whole point was, is just that he thought that, and why he likes Luke so much is that he's such an approachable character.
Yeah.
You can connect with Luke. It's like he talks about the moisture evaporators and being a moisture farmer, and he's just kind of like, you know, a 9-year-old could look at that and say, I can do that, you know, like, and I was like, that's so cool. It's so true. And he mentions he develops skills later on, but he's like, that's sort of the appeal to Luke.
Yeah,
is you're like, I get that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyways, so Biggs, to finish that other scene off, what does he say to him? He says about he's actually in the Imperial fleet.
He is.
Right?
And he's looking to switch soon to the Rebellion.
Yep. Which I think is all it was so cool to hear him talk about that because we have rebels going on right now.
Yeah.
And you have these different factions and sets of rebels coming together to create the Rebel Alliance. And it's growing, and you hear Biggs talking about that, and you're like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
You know, and Luke is not interested in any of the politics. He just wants to get out of there. He's like, I want to get off this planet. I want to go out and do something and be a pilot and stuff. So
it sets up the seriousness kind of the Empire and everything very early on. You know, that's kind of missing in the beginning of the movie, maybe just to me.
Yeah.
But
no, it was a good. It was. Being a fan, you know, you look at that and you're like, I would love to have a 3-hour episode 4. I wouldn't care, you know. But that's just because we love it so much. So
it's a big clip too.
It is a big clip. All the deleted scenes are actually pretty long. They're not like short little snippets, like kind of like what they were in the prequels. You watch the deleted scenes in the prequels. Some of those scenes are really short. These were extended. You know, I mean, if you look at Return of the Jedi, which we just looked at a second ago, those deleted scenes, there's like a storm.
Yeah,
they get caught after they get after they escape Jabba. There's a sandstorm that they go through, and it lasts for almost a minute or
you can barely hear them.
Seconds.
They actually have subtitles and
because you can't all of the so raw
and stuff.
But
it's great.
Anyways, we just kind of wanted to respond and react to Mark Hamill back out there again on day 2, and I am hoping that something like that happens again on day 3 because it's my favorite part of the celebration to see Mark Hamill out there talking. And we're gonna get Carrie Fisher here in just a second.
This is why you have to watch live.
Oh, you do?
I missed live today, which really makes me sad. So I went home and watched it and missed a lot of what Ez got to see with Mark Hamill being on stage with his hood up. Oh. And you said at the end of that 20-minute speech or whatever that he gave, he's just like, guys, they're kicking me out of here, and they just literally cut to the host of the Star Wars live show,
right,
and went to the next panel.
They had to go to the next panel. I honestly, Mark Hamill could still be talking to that crowd right now. We don't know. He probably is. So, but honestly, they left him there talking, and then they kind of turned to these people on the side, like, no, let Mark. Mark can do whatever he wants. Just let him, do his thing. So, anyways, just great stuff. So hopefully you guys are ready for day 3. We are ready. We've got our Red Bulls. We have set up shop here, and we are ready to go. And we'll be back with more news.
Check out those deleted scenes.